Is One Piece Season 2 is really surpassed Season 1? Or is it getting worse? Is it a hit or is it a great miss? So I have a lots and lots of thoughts to share with you guys, so watch this video till the end. First we start by giving the rating of every episode in the Season 2. Check whether the episode is fulfilled our excitement or not. My rating for the first episode is 7 out of 10. And the second episode is 9 out of 10. And the third episode, this is my most favorite episode, I'm gonna give 9.5 out of 10. And the episode 4, 5, 6, I'm gonna give 8 out of 10. And the episode 7, I'm gonna give 9 out of 10. And the final episode, I'm gonna give 8.5 out of 10. Some people agree with my rating and some people won't. I know. But once I started to break down the story step by step, you will understand why I gave that rating. Okay, let's dive into the breakdown. The first important thing I need to tell you is, this Season 2 is completely surpassed the Season 1. In the case of storytelling and the production value and the CGI, it's completely surpassed the Season 1. And this season feels like more matured version than the previous one. And they took One Piece live action into the next level. First of all, we know the Season 1 is impossible dream. From the start, the odds of checking an anime to a live adaptation has a failure rate of 100%. That's how it has been until now. Even to adapt a normal and possible animes like Death Note, we have seen as a failure. When it comes to like a One Piece like anime, you can easily say that it is impossible to make a successful live adaptation. But the One Piece Season 1 break the code and made a decent adaptation. It was not the best, it was just decent. Even so, they did 100% impossible things into somehow possible. So One Piece fans started to celebrate what impossible things for other anime fans couldn't able to get each. So One Piece Netflix cooked here. The introduction starts with the interaction of Straw Hats on the ship. That felt like it really ripped from the manga. Usopp acting here is damn. This gave me so much hope to the entire season. And the chemistry between the Straw Hats are really explored well in the season. Loguetown is the most important moment of the story and the true beginning of the One Piece. It's the one of the arcs that made One Piece feel bigger than other animes. Even today, after more than 1000 episodes, this arc still feels fresh. It carries a lot of nostalgia. And honestly, even if One Piece continues and making another 1000 episodes, this value of the arc will only keep rising. I would bet money on that. Because of that, I'm very excited to see how they adapted it. But to be honest, this kind of episode kind of disappointed me. The reason is simple. There are 3 peak moments in this arc. The first one is Zoro choosing the sword, and the second one is Luffy execution scene, and the third one is dragon appearance. In my opinion, all 3 scenes just feel average. Let's start with Zoro's sword scene. They actually did the scene well, but they ended it very quickly. What I think we need here some slow motion build up. If they had added a little bit tension and slow motion, it would have been much cooler and we would feel more connected to the moment. Next is Luffy execution scene. Here I feel like we didn't feel the crowd energy. In the anime, the place feels huge and intense. But in the live action, there is a lot of tense in the center and the crowd feels much smaller. Another thing, Buggy swinging the sword without chains around the Luffy neck. This makes the scene feel less intimidating. And again, this is the another moment where the slow motion and dramatic build-up could have helped a lot. Instead, these scenes feel sudden and rushed. Now let's talk about dragon appearance. A lot of people say this scene was adapted well. But for me, something is missing. Maybe it's the editing, maybe it's the pacing, and maybe it's the lighting. I can't explain clearly, but it could have been more powerful. Apart from those 3 scenes, everything is really good. Especially Robin's introduction scenes and the conversation between the Rogen and the Corp and the fight sequences. Smoker vs Luffy looked great and the Sanji fight scenes are really good. Now about Bartholomew. Adding him here gave me mixed feelings. It's not a bad idea, but I felt like they could have written him a little better to capture his character. Now let's talk about something most important that is missing from the story. The combat scene. This is the most important moments in the One Piece. Because that scene explains why ships cannot travel through the combat. And most importantly, it helps viewers to understand the One Piece world better. In the anime, that the moment made the world very clear and easy to understand. So I personally felt like cutting a combat scene was a big missed opportunity. It could have pushed the live action to the next level. I understand the budget concerns, but this scene is too valuable to remove. It would also have given more impact to the reverse mountain arc. Right now I felt like general viewers might not fully understand how the One Piece world is structured. Anyway, let's move on to the reverse mountain. This is the one of the moments fans are most worried about. Everyone is asking how they are going to pull this off in a live action, but honestly they handled it beautifully. Not only did it work, it looked stunning. The entire arc worked really well for me. The way they handled the Laboon was great, and the climax with the dramatic song, I absolutely loved that moment. Laboon's expressions were perfect, and Vivi in this episode, she killed it with Miss Wednesday. Now let's talk about the next episode. This is one of the favorite episodes. This one is actually my favorite episode of the season. It's almost perfect. At times, it genuinely felt like I was watching the One Piece anime itself. The Straw Hats chemistry works perfectly here. I definitely not giving a high rating just because I see Nami in a bikini. What actually worked for me was the interaction between Luffy and Vivi. They also did a good job with Igaram, and also the Zoro scene, that's amazing. And Zoro action scene, that was crazy. I never thought they could show him cutting down 100 people. And what's even crazier is they actually count it on screen until it reaches 100. That moment felt wild. This episode felt like closest to the live action gets into the anime. The next episode is 4. This is where Robin met the Straw Hats for the first time, and honestly, it was perfect. It was very faithful to the anime. After this episode, Robin appears too often. It feels too much Robin, and that kind of hurts her mysterious aura. Robin works best when she appears rarely and mysteriously. So now let's talk about the Little Golden. For me, this episode is banger. I love how faithful it is to the original story. Dory and Brogy were great. The writing, the acting, even the CGI worked well. And I also loved the Zoro vs Sanji hunting competition. Usopp interact with the giants were fun. And Luffy's excitement for adventure was portrayed perfectly. Now Luffy riding the dinosaur was a cool idea, but I felt like the budget limitations showed a bit. Most of the time, we only see sky in the background. Still, I really enjoyed the moment. Now let's talk about number 3. They literally put number 3 on his head. My only issue with this arc is the pacing. I felt a little slow, so the episode felt slightly boring when I first watched it. But interestingly, when I watched it a second time, it felt much better. Now one of the biggest highlight of this arc for me was Miss Golden Week. She feels like a psychopathic menace, and that works perfectly. The actress did an amazing job. Honestly, she might be one of the greatest casting in the show. And now let's talk about the final arc, Drum Kingdom. For the moment the One Piece live action was announced, One Piece fans had one big question. If they make a season 2, how are they going to make a Chopper? Would they use prosthetic makeup like Orlon, or would they use full CGI? And if it's CGI, how would they manage the budget? But whatever the solution they found, they nailed it. Chopper looks perfect. Seriously, he looks cute and adorable. The entire Drum Kingdom arc was done really well, and they handled Dr. Hiriluk's story very beautifully. And they recreated the famous moment when does a man die. That scene was done really well. And the finale with the cherry blossoms, that's absolutely perfect. They also managed to pull off some weirdest characters in One Piece, like Vapol, and they actually did it perfectly. My only issue in this arc is Luffy defending the flag. That moment needs some emotions and drama. And they also removed one of the most famous lines in One Piece. That line even people use in real life protests. The line is, "Look, the flag is still standing." I really wish they had kept the dialogue. Now let's look at the overall negatives of this season. First negative, they could have done better job with Loguetown. Especially 3 iconic scenes. One, Zoro choosing the sword, and second one is Luffy execution, and third one is dragon appearance. All the 3 scenes could have been much more impactful. And the second negative, they didn't show the comb belt. This scene is very important because it helps viewers to understand the structure of the One Piece world better. Removing it makes the world feel a little less clear. The third negative, the non-canon Smoker storyline. It kind of drags the story down. Now the actor who played a Smoker did a great job. I barely noticed the issue, but still it's a negative point. Fourth negative, they showed too much Robin. Robin is supposed to have this mysterious aura, but because she appears so often, that mystery gets reduced a bit. Especially her scenes in Drum Kingdom and scenes with Vapol. Fifth negative, the flag defending scene. It wasn't bad, but it had the potential to be much more powerful. And finally, one of the biggest negative for me It didn't include one of the most important dialogues in One Piece, famous inherited will and people dreams speech. That dialogue is extremely important to the story. They definitely should have included. Let's move to the positives. And honestly, there are a lot of positives. It's not an exaggeration to say, but this season improved almost 100% compared to previous season. Positive, the production value. It's massive. Because of that, the world of One Piece finally feels huge. That's exactly what we love about One Piece. The second positive, the interaction between the Straw Hats. Their chemistry feels very natural and it's much closer to the anime version. Third positive, the CGI. Season depends heavily on CGI, but somehow they pulled it really well. Especially Laboon and Chopper. Both the characters look alive and believable. Fourth positive, the acting. Once again, they somehow managed to find the strong casting choices. Among the new characters, some characters did an excellent job. Booker, Miss Wednesday, Igaram, Hiriluk, Miss Golden Week and Vapol. All of them were really good. There are also some decent castings like Robin, Vivi, Shigi, Dory, Bori, Kurega, Mr. 3 and Dalton. Now let's talk about the Straw Hats. All of them did a great job. Personally, I liked Usopp and Sanji acting in this season. Now let's talk about the peak moments of the season. The biggest one is obviously the cherry blossom scene. That moment was beautiful. Apart from that, I also loved the when does a man die scene. Surprisingly, I also enjoyed Luffy singing the song to the laboon. That scene felt very emotional and fun at the same time. Overall, for me, this season is huge improvement over season 1. They clearly made from the first season and they made things better. And now I am even more excited for season 3.